Novak Djokovic has always been known as one of the toughest, most durable players in the history of tennis. He's fought through pain, played through setbacks, and time again delivered greatness when others thought he might be down. But this week at Wimbledon, something has caught the eye of fans and analysts alike. A noticeable brace wrapped around his right knee during a training session. And at 38 years old, it's raised an important question. Is Djokovic's body starting to show signs of wear? It wasn't that long ago that Djokovic stunned the tennis world with a seemingly impossible comeback after suffering a torn meniscus at the 2024 French Open, an injury that typically sidelines athletes for months. He not only returned quickly, but made it all the way to the Wimbledon final just weeks later. It felt like vintage Djokovic, once again proving that rules don't seem to apply to him, but moments like that also come with a cost. Surgeries, rapid comebacks, and years of high-level play inevitably leave their mark. Now, seeing him wearing support on that same knee during warm-ups has sparked new speculation. Is it just precaution, or is there more going on than he's letting on? Fans who followed Djokovic closely know that this isn't the first time concerns have surfaced. Over the years, he's developed a bit of a reputation, fair or not, for having mysterious injuries that seem to pop up at key moments. Some believe he exaggerates his physical struggles to take pressure off or disrupt his opponent's rhythm. Novak Djokovic has long faced accusations of using injury breaks as a mental tactic rather than out of necessity. Most recently, Nick Kyrgios claimed he uses these moments to gain a mental edge, suggesting that Djokovic often feigns physical struggles early in Grand Slam tournaments to disrupt his opponent's focus. Similarly, during the 2025 Australian Open quarterfinal against Carlos Alcaraz, commentator John McEnroe accused Djokovic of faking an injury, describing his medical timeouts as a routine strategy to throw off his rivals. These suspicions aren't new. Roger Federer was one of the earliest high-profile critics, calling Djokovic's mid-match injury timeout during a 2006 Davis Cup tie a joke, and saying he didn't trust his injuries. In 2009, after Djokovic retired from a match against Andy Roddick in extreme heat at the Australian Open, Federer again questioned whether the issue was truly physical or just a reaction to being behind in the match. In 2008, Andy Roddick mocked Djokovic for constantly calling trainers, sarcastically listing a series of supposed ailments like back, ankles, and even bird flu. After beating Roddick, Djokovic fired back in his on-court interview, accusing him of spreading falsehoods. More recently, in 2024, former Australian pro John Alexander criticized Djokovic's medical timeouts during the United Cup, suggesting they were strategically timed to halt momentum after losing a set. That same year, former top 10 player Adriano Panatta cast doubt on Djokovic's meniscus injury and rapid recovery post-surgery, calling the situation a big mystery. But Djokovic fans often can be heard saying that he's simply been more open about the ups and downs that come with elite-level tennis. But this situation feels slightly different. There was no dramatic moment during a match that called for a medical timeout or pause. This time, the evidence was subtle. Just a quiet photo from practice, a close-up of that knee brace, and a few clips showing Djokovic taking it a bit easier on court. And yet, those small details have ignited big questions. Because the reality is, Djokovic isn't in his early 30s anymore. He's 38. He's played over 1,300 matches in his career. He's gone deep in Grand Slams more than almost anyone in the sport. The grind, the travel, the 5-set battles, they all add up. Federer started slowing down physically around the same age. Nadal's body began giving out even earlier. Djokovic has defied that trend for a long time, but no one outruns time forever. Of course, this doesn't mean he's done. Far from it. Even this year, he's shown he can still compete with the very best. He's in the quarterfinals at Wimbledon again. He's still ranked among the world's elite. But there's something more fragile about this chapter of his career. Every match, every training session carries a bit more risk now. A slight misstep, a small tear, a bad landing. Those moments that younger players bounce back from easily can become defining setbacks at this age. Djokovic himself has acknowledged this shift. In interviews, he's talked openly about the need to manage his body more carefully. He's cut back on tournaments. He's adopted a more selective schedule. And in his own words, he no longer assumes he can just power through the pain like he used to. The mental drive is still there. The desire to win, to break records, to keep going. But even he knows that his body might not always cooperate. And that's what makes this current moment so compelling. Seeing him wear that knee brace isn't just a medical detail. It's a reminder that even the greatest aren't invincible. It signals that he might be entering the final stretch of his career. Maybe not this year, maybe not even next, but the window is slowly closing, and every sign, every ache, every taped joint could be part of that story. What makes Djokovic unique is that he's always found a way to adapt. When his serve wasn't working, he rebuilt it. When younger players pushed him, he pushed back harder. If his body starts giving him more trouble, chances are he'll find new ways to respond. Smarter tactics, shorter points, sharper focus. But whether this knee support is nothing or something bigger, it has sparked a new phase in the Djokovic conversation. Not just about how many more titles he can win, but how long he can keep going at all. And for a player who has always seemed one step ahead, that's a question the whole tennis world is now asking. When you look at Novak Djokovic's career, it's easy to get used to the idea that he'll just keep going. The numbers are ridiculous. 24 Grand Slam titles, more than 100 ATP titles, over 400 weeks as world number 1. He's been a constant presence at the top for nearly 2 decades. But now, with the subtle but telling signs, like the knee support spotted at Wimbledon practice, we're entering a new phase where even the small things matter. The thing is, we've seen this pattern before with other legends. Federer started taping his knees more often in his mid-30s. Nadal played through chronic foot pain and had to miss tournaments entirely. Serena Williams powered through hamstring injuries, but eventually had to call time. When these moments begin to add up, it becomes less about dominance and more about preservation. And Djokovic, being as mentally sharp as he is, knows this better than anyone. What's interesting now is how his age and experience can both work for and against him. On one hand, he's been here before. He's dealt with injuries. He knows how to prepare, recover, and manage his body. He's not going to panic because of a little pain. But on the other hand, recovery isn't what it used to be. The body doesn't bounce back the same way at 38. One injury can suddenly take weeks instead of days. And in a sport that demands constant movement, balance, and timing, that can change everything. This also brings up the mental side of the game, something Djokovic has mastered like few others. For years, he's been able to flip a switch mid-match and claw his way back. He's taken long medical timeouts, recentered himself, and come back to dominate. Some have criticized him for it, claiming he's playing mind games or making it up, especially when he pulls off incredible wins after showing visible signs of discomfort. But whether you believe those moments are tactics or truth, the fact is, they've worked. Still, those moments may come with more skepticism now. When fans saw that knee brace during his Wimbledon training, reactions were mixed. Some assumed it was just precautionary, maybe even psychological. Others felt it was part of a familiar pattern, Djokovic showing signs of vulnerability only to then play near-perfect tennis. But there's a fine line between clever mental strategy and genuine physical concern. The difference now is that the injury risk feels more real. Because let's be honest, if Djokovic were 28 instead of 38, that knee brace wouldn't be a headline. It might not even get noticed. But in this stage of his career, everything is under the microscope. Every limp, every stretch, every piece of tape tells a story. And for fans, it's not just about Wimbledon 2025. It's about how much longer we're going to see him out there at all. And for Djokovic himself, this probably isn't a matter of can I win again? It's more about how many more times can I put my body through this? Because make no mistake, his ambition hasn't faded. He's talked about playing the Olympics, about going for 25 or even 26 slams. He wants to keep going, but wanting and being able to are two different things, and the gap between them grows with time. What makes this current moment so fascinating is the contrast. On one hand, you have a player still technically good enough to win any tournament he enters. On the other, you have a body that's starting to show signs of wear. It creates this constant tension between past dominance and present vulnerability. Djokovic is simply racing time. He still is an extraordinary hitter, but he does not move as fast. He does not go from corner to corner as fast. Besides that natural decline, his only real concerns are potential injuries. That's why even a single photo of a knee brace sets off alarms. Because for Djokovic, the smallest details now have the biggest weight. And this is where fans find themselves torn. We want to see him keep going. We want more iconic matches, more records, more moments. But we also know how this story usually ends. Not with a big final win, but with the body quietly breaking down bit by bit. It doesn't happen all at once. It's slow, uneven, and hard to predict. One tournament, you're lifting a trophy. The next, you're out in the second round with a sore leg. And some fans think this slowing down has happened. He has said that he feels like he comes into tournaments not thinking he is going to win, which has never happened before. He drops out of tournaments to prioritize others. This for many signals that the slow decline has started happening. So when Djokovic steps on court now, every match feels just a little more meaningful, not just because of the stakes, but because we don't know how many more times we'll get to see him do it. That knee brace might be nothing, or it might be the first sign of the next chapter. Either way, one thing is clear. The era of Djokovic isn't over, but it is evolving. From relentless champion to wise veteran, from unbeatable machine to experienced warrior managing each step, the fight is still in him, but the questions are starting to catch up, and for the first time in a long time, they might be louder than ever.